Good afternoon, everyone. Today, our Regulatory Support Office, our RSO team, will continue with the six-part mini-series on FDA IND IDE regulatory process. And our today's talk will cover part 3, how to submit modifications to IND or IDE. As you all are aware, sponsors of IND are responsible for informing FDA when IND is amended. I will discuss different types of IND amendments and how to successfully prepare each IND amendment to FDA. Raj will be covering the IDE amendment portion for device studies. As discussed previously, this is the IND lifecycle, and throughout this mini-series, we will talk about each of these steps in detail. We covered step 1, 2, and 3 in our recent research matters, which you can watch the recorded video that is available on our website. Our today's focus is on step 4, which is the IND maintenance period. And this is a quick summary of step 4, the IND maintenance period, which I'll be explaining in detail in the next few slides. There are 4 major types of IND amendments as listed here. The first one is protocol amendment, new protocol. Next is protocol amendment, changes in existing protocol. The third type is protocol amendment, new investigator. And the fourth one is information amendment. These are the timelines for each type of amendments listed for your reference here. It is important to keep in mind that a protocol change intended to eliminate an apparent immediate hazard to human subjects may be implemented immediately, provided that the FDA is subsequently notified by protocol amendment and the reviewing IRB is also notified. Now, I'm going to go over each amendment in detail. Let's start with the first type, that is protocol amendment, new protocol. So what is this? This is the case where if a sponsor of IND intends to conduct a study that is not covered by a protocol already contained in their IND application, the sponsor is expected to submit to FDA protocol amendment containing a copy of the new protocol and a brief description of the most clinically significant differences between it and the previous protocols. As you all know, the sponsor can have more than one protocol associated with same IND as long as new protocol is studying the same drug for same indication. For example, of a new protocol amendment would be when clinical trial transitions from phase 1 to phase 2. Sponsor of IND must submit protocol amendment, new protocol, because it is a new protocol with new objective and endpoints, but using the same drug for same indication. In this case, sponsor of IND must submit new phase 2 protocol to FDA and obtain IRB approval before beginning phase 2 clinical trial. Please keep in mind that unlike initial IND submission, there is no required 30-day clock with a new protocol amendment. So once sponsor submits it to the FDA, sponsor does not need to wait 30 days to begin clinical investigation. However, it is encouraged to check with your FDA project manager before proceeding to ensure that the review team does not have any concerns. It is considered a best practice to wait approximately 30 days after submission of a new protocol before starting the study. I would also like to highlight that FDA and IRB submissions may occur in any order. This is a frequently asked point by most of the study teams. But the best practice is to have IRB approval first and include approval letter in protocol amendment submission to FDA, which is required by CBER. Next, coming to protocol amendment, new protocol package. This should include cover letter, which includes a brief description about new study. And as I mentioned in previous slide, if the sponsor desires FDA to comment on a submission, they should submit a request for such comment within the cover letter itself and the specific questions that the FDA's response should address. This package should also include the full clinical protocol, must include Form 1571, that is the contractual agreement between sponsor and FDA, Form 1572, that is a contractual agreement between investigator and sponsor, Form 3674, that is certification of registration at clinicaltrials.gov, and informed consent template. These 6 documents are the ones that need to be included in this package. I just also wanted to quickly show this section within Form 1571 that is utilized to indicate protocol amendment, new protocol, while including in this package. The next type of protocol amendment is changes in existing protocol. Per regulations, once an IND is in effect, a sponsor shall amend it as needed to ensure that the clinical investigations are conducted according to protocols included in the application. Protocol amendments should be submitted to the FDA when a phase 1 protocol changes significantly that affects safety of subjects, or in a phase 2 or 3 protocol, changes are made which significantly affect safety of subjects, the scope of the investigation, or the scientific quality of the study. For example, any increase in drug dosage or duration of exposure of individual subjects to the drug beyond that described in the current protocol, or any significant increase in the number of subjects under study, then any significant change in the design of the protocol, such as addition or elimination of a control group. Another example is addition of a new test or procedure intended to improve monitoring for or reduce the risk of a side effect or adverse event, or elimination of a test intended to monitor safety. However, it is considered a best practice to submit all protocol changes to the FDA. Like protocol amendment for new protocol, there is no required 30-day clock with a change in protocol amendment. But again, it is always better to check with your FDA project manager before proceeding to ensure the review team does not have any concerns. Protocol changes may be implemented following submission to FDA and IRB approval, except for the emergency situation to eliminate an immediate hazard to participants. Once again, the FDA and IRB submissions may occur in any order, but the agency prefers obtaining IRB approval first and including IRB approval letter in the protocol amendment. Change in protocol amendment package should include cover letter, which includes, again, a brief summary of changes and rationale for the proposed change. Form 1571, revised track protocol, and a revised clean copy of protocol. I just also wanted to quickly show this section within Form 1571 that is utilized to indicate protocol amendment change in protocol, which while including in this package. The third major type is protocol amendment for addition of new investigator that is submitted when a new investigator is added to carry out a previously submitted protocol, except for a treatment protocol such as single patient, intermediate, and large population expanded access protocol. The amendment should include the investigator's name, the qualifications to conduct the investigation, and any reference to the previously submitted protocol if relevant. FDA should be notified within 30 days of the investigator being added. This is relevant for multi-center studies. Sponsor must collect and submit Form 1572 and CV of the investigator from each research site to the FDA. Sponsor must also collect IRB approval letter from each research site prior to shipping investigational drug. The best practice is to include IRB approval letters with FDA submission. Protocol amendment new investigator package should include cover letter, Form 1571, 1572, and investigator CV. And in Form 1571, you would select the box for new investigator under protocol amendment section while including it in this package. The last major type of IND amendment is information amendment. This includes any amendment to an IND application with information essential to the investigational product that is not within the scope of protocol amendments, safety reports, or annual reports. For example, information amendments to IND applications may include new toxicology, chemistry, or other technical information, or a report regarding discontinuance of a clinical or non-clinical investigation. Any information amendment submitted under an IND application is required to bear prominent identification of its contents. Example, it should be identified as information amendment, chemistry, manufacturing, and control, or information amendment, pharmacology, toxicology, or information amendment, clinical. It can be submitted as necessary, but not more than every 30 days if feasible. Information amendment package should include cover letter. Again, sponsor should clearly state the purpose of the amendment and request for FDA comment if the sponsor desires FDA to comment on an information amendment. Form 1571, revised track protocol, and clean copy of the protocol. Sponsor should summarize and present data in a format appropriate for scientific review. In Form 1571, you would select the applicable checkboxes under Information Amendment section as seen here while including this form in your submission package. Once the study team puts together the IND protocol or information amendment package using the templates provided by us or that is available on our RSO's website, you may contact our RSO team for review. Then, when review is complete, the next step is to submit the amendment package to the FDA, which we can assist by submitting via the CDER NextGen portal for drugs and via CBER email directed to an FDA receiving hub, that is the CBER Document Control Center. If you all are interested in learning more about ways to submit to CDER and CBER, please watch our last month's Research Matter presentation that is now available on our website. And this concludes my portion. Thank you all for listening, and I'll now pass it over to Raj to talk about the IDE modifications.
Thank you, Rasija. Good afternoon, everyone. Before getting into the details of IDE modifications, I wanted to touch on a few basic points regarding the device-related amendment process. In addition, I would like to explain why and how communicating amendments to the FDA differs from those of the IND, and what is the reason the process could be somewhat confusing. Here are some facts. The device side of regulatory steps is complex, with many variations, parts, and features to be customized to match with certain requirements. Because of this complexity, unlike IND amendments, device amendments have some submission formalities and wait times for FDA reviews, requiring explicit approvals prior to implementing changes. In addition, there are multiple amendment submission paths to consider for communicating the changes to the FDA. With that background, let's move to the familiar graphic, the IDE life cycle, where the step 4 includes amendments, which are executed during the trial and study maintenance period. Now, let's see what the key regulatory milestones are in the maintenance phase. The IRB update and the concurrent update of the clinicaltrials.gov records. These are to be accomplished in the post-IDE approval phase. In addition, on the FDA side, there are quite a few requirements for reporting and implementing changes, which must strictly follow certain stipulated schedules. Here is a quick summary of step 4 activities during the IDE maintenance, indicating the different FDA communication schedules for certain regulatory tasks, aside from those for the IRB and clinicaltrials.gov updates. I'll talk about these FDA regulatory activities in detail in the next set of slides. Essentially, there are 3 categories of IDE modifications, each tied to a specific timeline, which are: number 1, an amendment submission option with a 30-day wait time for some changes, requiring prior FDA approval before implementing those changes. The second one, this is another submission route via amendment notice to the FDA involving a timeline requirement of no later than 5 working days after making the changes. And the third, submission of IDE modifications included as a part of the annual report or progress report, which happens at least once a year. This is a very key difference. This is not allowed in the IND amendment, any of the categories of the IND amendment. RSO can assist the study team in the process. RSO team assisting the study team pretty much follows the FDA guidance for the content and the type of modifications to consider and advise on the approval requirements. You are also welcome to access this yourself for more guidance details if interested. Now, let's look at the 30-day approval category, governed by a set of regulatory specifications. In general, this path is required for changes involving the device or protocol, which could impact the data validity and scientific soundness, and such changes impacting the subject's rights, safety, or welfare. For example, changes in device can be in the design, manufacturing process, thus affecting the basic principles of device operation, or such changes increasing the potential risks or introducing new risks. Changes in protocol can be associated with indication change, type or nature of study control, primary endpoint, statistical methodology, or adding new components to expand the study, or early termination, as well as adding a new clinical protocol. These changes are submitted in an IDE supplement to the FDA. IND amendments requiring a 5-day notice. This is category number 2 in the amendments, and this is governed by a different set of regulatory specifications which cover multiple scenarios. For example, any emergency change to be introduced for protecting the life or physical well-being. And then a device or protocol changes not impacting the data validity, scientific soundness, and those not affecting the subject's rights, safety, or welfare. The following scenarios fit this amendment category, which are device design or manufacturing change, inclusion-exclusion criteria change, addition of backup safety feature to study design, or increasing frequency at which the information is gathered. Governed by yet another set of regulations, the third category of amendment submission is associated with the IDE annual or progress report. It will cover scenarios not affecting the scientific soundness of the investigational plan, in addition to the subject's rights, safety, or welfare. These are typically only minor changes. For example, monitoring procedure change, device name change, not even implying any change in intended use, inclusion-exclusion criteria change, minor changes to study purpose or objectives without changing the protocol or endpoints, IRB information, minor changes in the duration of investigation owing to the possibility of a long time anticipated for annual report submission, and then risk analysis. When it comes to submissions, amendments subjected to the 30-day review require an IDE supplement package. It is the most elaborate submission item, actually, like a mini IDE application. However, this supplement package is only focused on significant device design or manufacturing changes or protocol changes in terms of the various parameters that we went over. It is important that the supplement package submission is not made in response to the information from the investigation. The supplement package will include the Form 3514 or cover sheet, a custom letter, and a full description of the changes with appropriate graphics, sketches, and tables. One of the key requirements is the e-copy. Sorry, all ADE submissions can be by regular mail to the CDRH or CBER, depending on the product addressed to the respective agency division offices, or filed through the CDRH customer collaboration portal. In part 2 of our mini-series, we discussed the details of the customer collaboration portal and the key requirements for that. Amendment submission through the customer collaboration portal, we have seen what the requirements are, and the e-copy format is one of the requirements that we went over, and the details of this particular area can be accessible through the previous presentation. In any event, RSO can assist the investigator team in making sure of the e-copy format for your amendment documents in addition to submitting the amendments. Please complete the booking online to engage us for this purpose. That brings us to the close of this part 3 segment of the mini-series, which we certainly believe is also something fitting with your study needs. Very importantly, Your feedback is critical for this presentation as well, to highlight on the quality of the content and presentation, which we greatly appreciate. As you know, we look into the Q&A via Teams chat or email. Our next mini-series presentation scheduled on June 20th will discuss safety or incident reports. We'll be very happy if you could make the time to attend that as well. And in addition, we have our future presentations coming. As you see, there are only 2 more left after the next one. And one last reminder for the archives of all the Research Matters presentations, please access through YouTube at the UT Southwest HRPP site and the SI support site. Now, let me turn over the Research Matters presentation to Satish Virala for continuation. Thank you all very much.